Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to actually support the amendment. But if I were to be asked, Mr. Speaker, I would have even gone with Senator Wetangula's opinion. Mr. Speaker, the country is in a crisis. And when the country is in a crisis, the leaders should be in the forefront. Should be in the forefront. This is like war. And it is this house to give hope to Kenyans. It is this house to actually make decisions outside the normal decisions, even prompt decisions. Government may need funds urgently, Mr. Speaker, and it is for us to do that. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we have people in this country who they are not capitalists, but they are actually suckers of blood. People like banks by now should be told to suspend all the charges and the loans that they are charging hefty interest to actually Kenyans who have been trying to create employment in this particular time. Mr. Speaker, the other day the insurance said, if you are having this disease, they will not be in charge. Mr. Speaker, I find this very unpatriotic. I find it irresponsible, and it is upon this parliament to bring laws that can actually change those attitudes, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, my point, I will support Senator Ashilo's amendment in that I felt this House should not have gone in recess. We should be on standby, and whether we come back once a week, Mr. Speaker. We don't need all the staff in Parliament. You should have some core staff whom you can even accommodate somewhere here, Mr. Speaker. If this is a situation we are in, we are here to call upon the government, county governments, to account. We are here to call them, to tell us what they are doing. We are here to keep giving hope to our people, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I support the amendment by Senator Ayako.
Senator Omogeni. I don't know, I'm giving both sides. I'm coming both sides. I'll give you an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to support the amendment that has been put forth by Senator Ochilo. But, Mr. Speaker, there is even a serious outspeaking issue that requires direction from the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the majority leaders alluded to this House that they are our colleagues who traveled out of the country and who travel back in the same flight with the fourth victim. Even as we propose, Mr. Speaker, that we should have sittings once a week, we need discipline from the House, Mr. Speaker. The Senator for Texas, Ted Cruz, who was in a meeting of a Brazilian who tested positive, went into self-quarantine the moment that news broke out. If, Mr. Speaker, there are our colleagues in this House, distinguished senators, who were out of the country in jurisdictions that are affected by this disease, Mr. Speaker, the prudent thing to do is for them to go into self-quarantine, Mr. Speaker, because we need to show Kenyans that this disease is serious and that we as leaders are giving it the seriousness it deserves, Mr. Speaker. It is not proper, Mr. Speaker, for members who are supposed to show the people that we represent here the discipline that we require to control this disease, not to abide by the directives that have been given by our own government. So I want to, Mr. Speaker, to propose that if there is any of our colleagues who may have been out of the country in the countries that have been affected by this disease, let them make self-disclosure and then they go into self-isolation. That's what we expect leaders who are responsible to do. Number two, Mr. Speaker, we cannot, this disease sends a lot of fear throughout the country. But if you borrow best practices, Mr. Speaker, the Senate of the United States of America has not adjourned, Mr. Speaker. Yet there are so many Americans whom, as we speak today, have been afflicted by this disease. In France, Mr. Speaker, the president has passed a law to allow the government spend 45 billion euros to cushion the people who are affected by this disease. It is the responsibility of we as leaders to ensure that we can put in place mechanisms through summonses that we may send to ministers in some responsible ministries to caution the Kenyans, the people that we represent here. Mr. Speaker, if we had joined this house, Mr. Speaker, there will be nobody who will speak for the common mwananchi, Mr. Speaker. You may find situations, Mr. Speaker, where banks may resort to auctioning people's homes if they are not able to pay their mortgages. And Mr. Speaker, I want to give an example. In September 11, 2001, when there was a terrorist attack in the United States of America, 2 days after that, there was a scare that an anthrax powder had been sent to both Congress and the Senate, Mr. Speaker. And when 2 representatives of Congress and 2 representatives of Senate went to see President George Bush, he gave them a leeway to go and discuss whether their houses wanted to go to recess. Mr. Speaker, Congress did go on recess, but the senator stayed forth and said they will be the generals who will lead the Americans in resisting the threats and fear of terrorism. So, Mr. Speaker, even if members of the other house have passed a motion to adjourn, we are not bound to follow what they have done. So I want to propose, Mr. Speaker, that we go by the proposals that have been put forth by Senator Uchilo, but we put in place mechanisms that will protect the honorable senators who are ready to continue acting as the people's representatives. I support, Mr. Speaker.